Can you tell me what Thematic Innovation Equities is? My boss would just come up to me at 9:29 every morning on the Paine-Webber desk and say, don't lose money. That's not Thematic Innovation Equities, is it? What do you do? How do you guys look at the market?
Well, when we look at the market, we really look out and see the biggest trends in the market. It's our belief that the secular trends, irrespective of economic outlook, will provide long-term growth for equities. And if you look out and think about it, Wall Street actually has consistently underestimated some of the biggest phenomena. For instance, iPhone, how big it was going to be, or cellular for that matter, or how big internet was going to be. And if you look out, most recently, NVIDIA for that matter.
Yep.
So if you look out and then you think, what actually makes the stock go up? It's really consistently beat and raised estimates. So if you look out, capture the big stories, that's how we generate long-term return above the market for our investors.
See, themes, Paul. Thematic. There you go.
Johnny Cogno just...
Right there in the title.
Yeah, just don't lose
Don't
money
do that.
today.
Okay. Well, that's also probably a fair point.
Yeah.
So based on those themes, like when you're talking about those themes, all I hear is AI. I'm assuming AI is in your bucket. How do you think about it?
Well, I think AI is absolutely one of the most critical things that we're thinking about these days. If you look at 2024, AI was the dominant theme, but the theme was really what's enabling the AI infrastructure. And that's why we've seen a lot of names really, a select few actually, really outperform the market. It's very concentrated. And as we look further out in 2025 and beyond, we think, first of all, enabling AI infrastructure, that's still going to be here, especially with the upcoming GB200 from NVIDIA. That's going to be a new product, and there's a lot of pent-up demand. But we also really need to see the adoption of AI, what applications are using AI. We think the demand will remain strong. The hyperscaler, the CapEx will continue to go up, but the level of increase and the slope of it is very dependent on the strength of demand. So as we look through 2025 to 2026, how big the demand for AI is will become increasingly more important. So we are looking for that. And but that said, I would say there's some chatter in the market, if you will, about how we've reached the limit of AI, and we really disagree. We think AI, first and foremost, is really about accelerated compute. It's about migration to the cloud, the next generation of digital grid. And demand there remains very strong. And also, we are seeing the evidence of broadening out. So we are seeing companies in the data layer, the companies that handle data analytics and storage, those players start to do well. And even in the software sector, we see select players that's adopting the AI agents. We're seeing those names. If, to the extent the revenue from AI is big enough to move the needle, those names will do well as well. So that's in the tech sector alone.
You know what I haven't seen that I've been used to seeing just in my history is a big IPO that defines an industry. I'm thinking Google for search. I'm thinking Facebook for social. That kids come out of the garage in Palo Alto or Boston or Austin, Texas, and they are the defining it company for that new transformative technology. Should we expect something like that for AI, or is it just all existing tech companies trying to migrate?
I think we certainly, there are quite a few we call unicorns, right? They are still public today. I'm not here to select a certain name, say which one's going to come out when, but there are quite a few public companies that we're watching very closely that, should they become IPO, could certainly take us to the next level. But that said, these are already very large companies in the AI area. They just simply choosing to stay private for now, but we're watching them very closely.
What are some other themes? Give us your next top theme.
So I think what's interesting is a couple of things. One is, even within, just stay on the topic of AI, a couple of things. One is within the AI infrastructure, because of the physical constraint and on the data center side and the power constraint, the companies are actually actively looking at their infrastructure. And it's just not one way to play it, but there are multiple ways. So you don't think of just one giant cluster of GPUs, but there could be a few of them, smaller because of power constraint, but they all need to be connected together. So we're looking at networking companies and communication equipment companies that both play within the data center and connect the data center. That's one area that we think will see strength in 2025. Other things that we talk about in terms of the application of AI, we talk a lot about tariff, inflation, reshoring, and that's going to put inflationary pressure in the market. But one way to address that is going to be automation, and we're already seeing companies widely adopt that. It doesn't sound as topical as a consumer app, but it is being widely adopted in industrials and manufacturing. We happen to think that could be the killer app, the efficiency gain from AI that is already happening in the marketplace. You see very large manufacturing companies that are actually reaping billions of dollars of cost savings already by using AI. And what that means is AI, robotics, autonomous driving. Ultimately, you just need more sensors. You need more Internet of Things. So that's an area that we think will also do well in 2025.
One of the things as a former banker that I think about it is M&A. Is that going to really ramp up after some shallow years in M&A? Maybe it's because we have a new administration. Maybe it's because interest rates are going to be coming down. Maybe, who knows? But we just heard from Paul Taubman, the founder of PJT, one of the leading M&A bankers on the street, optimistic about M&A. Is that from an investor perspective? Is that something you can factor in as a theme across the various industries that you invest in?
It is certainly a possibility. It's very hard for us as investors to call that M&A is definitely going to happen or which ones will be taken out. But as we look with the current administration, the more friendly regulatory environment, I presume, it's too early to tell, we shall see. And also just in terms of how large some of the companies have become, the sheer size of the company and the balance sheet strength, you can certainly see M&A being a theme potentially in 2025 and beyond.
What's one theme that you think has gotten a lot of play that you're not buying?
Well, as an innovation investor, I would say never. It's hard, but I think there's some things in the market that it's about stock picking.
Yeah.
It's less so about a story. Everybody can tell a story, but you have to find the right companies. So I would be of the camp saying there's a lot of innovation in the marketplace, but not everything's going to play out because you need the right management, the right company, and the right product to ultimately deliver the right results. So I would say not everything is created equal in terms of innovation, and one has to be selective.
So for your innovation, some of these big themes, do you care what the Fed does? Or do you just say, I can't worry about that. I'm not a stock. I'm not out there trying to time the market.
I would say when the Fed really make a dramatic regime change, which is, rapidly rising rates that we saw in 2022, those do impact the long duration assets. But as long as, the Fed operated within the band, we actually, frankly, that's our going assumption, and we just focus on stock picking as long as there's no dramatic shifts that force us to change our discount rate. But overall, over a long period of time, fundamentals do matter. And particularly in this area where it is about innovation, the secular growth, we don't care as much about macroeconomic outlook.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be policy rather than like a January meeting or not. All right, Lei, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Lei Qiu, CIO for Thematic Innovation Equities for AllianceBernstein.